this longing, like a bird that needs to fly. I've been captured by indecision, but I was born to sail the sky, and I will fly on wings of eagles. I will sail on wings of change, unencumbered by the past. I face the new day unafraid. Life is rich with possibility. This is my moment, my time to shine. All it takes is a little faith, and on the wings of eagles I will fly. There's a stirring in my spirit, telling me I'm free to fly. There's a small voice, I can hear it, telling me it's time to try. And I will fly on wings of eagles. I will sail on wings of change, unencumbered by the past. I face the new day unafraid. Life is rich with possibility. This is my moment, my time to shine. All it takes is a little faith, and on the wings of eagles I will fly. Oh, I am ready to let go of the fear that held me back. I am ready to spread my wings and make a difference that will last. And I will fly on wings of eagles. I will sail on wings of change, unencumbered by the past. I face the new day unafraid. Life is rich with possibility. This is my moment, my time to shine. All it takes is a little faith, and on the wings of eagles I will fly. All it takes is a leap of faith, and on the wings of eagles I will
of Eagles, I Will Fly. I love that song. It's a great way to start my morning and remind me as we begin this celebration of what is true. We are the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, and we welcome you to this time with us, this time where we can share together good ideas and a time to welcome and honor one another. We remind you each week that such is the nature of life, life with a capital L, that all it wants and all it requires, all it needs is the opportunity to appear. You're the opportunity for life to appear, for life with a capital L, for God to appear in its own form, in its form as you. You're the opportunity, and so am I, and so it is. And we celebrate that truth in all that we do and all that we focus. It is a part of our vision, and it is a part of our recognition of each other and who you are and who I am. Because what that says is that you're an opportunity for God, for life, whichever words you prefer, spirit, infinite intelligence, universal presence, to be and show up as something unique and wonderful. See, the pinnacle of oneness is not sameness. The pinnacle of oneness is uniqueness. You're a unique expression of that one power that shows up in everything, as everything, through everything. And that uniqueness is what we celebrate. We celebrate you for who you are and what you bring to life, and what you bring through you into the world as life. That's why we honor all backgrounds, all ways of life, all walks of spiritual walks. We honor people of all ethnicities and races and all of those kinds of things. So all those things that we use to identify ourselves, oftentimes in ways that would separate us, in the knowledge and depth of oneness, that means we not only acknowledge and welcome you, but we celebrate you in that uniqueness. We are part of a larger national organization called Centers for Spiritual Living. Actually, it's an international organization, and we are celebrating, beginning today, a week of celebrating the Latino world, partly because we have now graduated our first group of people, which you'll hear more about next week, who are going to be the ministerial or spiritual directors of centers all over Latin America. I was very happy to have been down in Mexico for that event last week, or 2 weeks back in the beginning of August. And so it just brought me fully aware of what an international organization we really are. Here's our vision for that international organization. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence. Humanity, that means you and me and all of us. And discovering the creative power of thought. A world where each and every person discovers their own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within the world and in the collective world, for a world that works for everyone. Now, this is our vision. This is where we're moving toward. This is what we're creating. This is what guides and directs all of our classes and our courses and our groups and our things that we do to support you and to support each other as we build a community, a beloved community, to bring about and bring forth that vision. That another part of what we believe, which is carried in our Declaration of Principles, which I'll also share with you now, is something really important as well. This is much more about our what we teach and what we believe in our everyday living, and that is that I believe in one God, one absolute power and first cause to all things. I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love. I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience. I believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding. I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all, and so it is. Now, we saw those words on the screen. I hope you read along with us. If you want to get another look and take some time with those words, they are on our website, cslmidtown.org. They're worth contemplating and spending some time with. At this time, we are inviting one of our spiritual mind practitioners. Now we have a religious science practitioner, same thing. We are bringing forward one of our practitioners each week. A practitioner is someone who has studied the teaching, who understands this Declaration of Principles, along with other principles that are also connected to it, and understand it not just with a head learning, but with a heart learning, and with the ability to use it to change their lives, to create the lives that they desire, and to support others in doing the same thing. These practitioners are licensed by the international organization in order to support other people in finding their dreams, in finding their life of desire, and healing in all kinds of areas, whatever the area is that needs support. So today we have one of our co-leaders of our practitioners with us, who will share some ideas and will bring us a spiritual mind treatment or an affirmative prayer. So Doug Moody, good to have you with us. Take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Bob Deen, and good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, Midtown, Atlanta, and beyond. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. I got really intrigued about this topic when I was kind of creating our sign-up sheet for practitioners last month and seeing what topics were coming up. And I thought it just kind of spoke to me and resonated me. I had no idea at the time when I was doing that what events would come into place since that time and today, this Sunday. But it is all in perfect timing. So this morning's topic that Dr. Bob Deen is going to share with you a lot about is when the road gets rocky. I think when the road gets rocky, we are really put to our best in terms of tests, and we find out what we're really made of. It's where the rubber really hits the road. And as I said earlier this morning, prior to the service, rocky road, it's more than just an ice cream. But I find that, a lot of times in these challenges, when we're along the path of our journey and we meet resistance or we come up against something that, causes us to keep advancing or seemingly causes us to keep advancing towards our desired goals in life, I find it helpful to just kind of sit back. One of the things I've been involved in this teaching for a long time, and one of the things that I have learned through the years is a wonderful tool called perspective. And I think when the road gets rocky, it's a really good time to tune into perspective and maybe do a little bit of self-evaluation about what is my perspective and how am I seeing this situation. I was asked earlier if I had a quote, and it's not really so much a quote, but it's something my mom used to say to me when I was a kid all the time. And it's an old proverb that says, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And my mom used to actually say the grass is not always greener on the other side of the fence. And that proverb came to mind. I've actually been reading this book, Joyous Abundance Journal. And it's by the Reverend Petra Wells and Christian Sorensen. I actually bought this as a souvenir when I was at the Seaside Center for Spiritual Living in Encinitas, California, for my practitioner graduation. And I've really enjoyed the topics, especially this month, because they talk about journey along a creative path. And it's been very enlightening. But he also talked about perspective on one of these journal entries for September 17th. And I think in going back to this quote about the grass is not always greener on the other side of the fence, the quote in the journal entry that I read reminded me in terms of perspective, how are you seeing this? What is your perspective? Are you all caught up in seeing the problems and exhausting yourself in the challenges? Or are you just kind of taking a deep breath and stepping back and realizing possibly that you're already on the other side? Or maybe even bigger, the bigger idea here is, what if there was no fence? And so I think that's really important to think about. As I mentioned earlier, we all experience different events, but since I signed up to be the platform person for this Sunday, I did have a little bit of a rocky event. It'll be 4 weeks ago tomorrow, and that I lost my Labrador Retriever. 13 years and a little guy that was very much loved. And it's really challenging. This has been kind of the rocky road that's presented itself to me in the most recent weeks. It can be very challenging, and it's very easy to get caught up in a sense of loss. But what I have learned during these past few weeks, instead of, when I'm feeling that sadness or getting caught up in the feelings of loss, I quickly turn my thoughts to gratitude. I think about all the wonderful, joyful moments, the happy times, the love, the laughter that he brought to me and my partner Greg's life, to our families, even our nieces and nephews. And I've been going through a lot of old photographs and finding stuff on old PCs. And my partner just sent me some pictures yesterday that he found on his mother's PC down in Orlando, Florida. And it's just amazing how when you focus on that, it all kind of comes into perspective. And that perceived barrier, that fence is removed. And you can focus on letting your heart be filled with the joy and the love and the gratitude. And that's what pulls you through. So in light of that, I'm going to share with you a spiritual mind treatment this morning. I'm going to ask you to accept it in the first person and accept what resonates with you, and just kind of throw over what resonates, what doesn't resonate with you, and just kind of let it go. So if you will, just get comfortable in your chairs. Relax. And let's just close our eyes and be present in the moment and know this together. There's only one power, one divine presence, one infinite intelligence that is operating throughout the universe, that is operating through me and each person present right here, right now, and always. And I and each are one with this immense power and intelligence, because it is always, always, always within. All I have to do is call that power and presence forth and let it shine and radiate out into the world, expressing uniquely and perfectly, joyfully and beautifully, just as Doug Moody and just as each person present. And I know when I do this that I am one with the infinite creator of all there is around me and around each in this world. And this morning I call and claim divine wisdom, divine right action, and divine love, encircling and holding me in each present in that light of love, allowing us to face any challenges that present themselves in our lives, reminding us about the key gift of perspective and how that perspective can shape our words, our thoughts, and our experiences in our lives. And I allow this divine wisdom to express fully and beautifully and gracefully and easily through and as me, knowing that it is doing its good and perfect work in the world, that it brings me and each to a greater expression of life. And with faith, I know that I am exactly where I need to be in achieving the dreams and desires and goals that I have set for myself. And this is possible for me, it is possible for you, it is possible for each and every one of us. This excites me. And I know that I am divinely guided, and I am grateful for this spirit, for this presence of spirit within me that is always working perfectly. And knowing this, I release my word into the universal law, knowing it is done, already complete. I simply let it be so, and it is wonderful. And so am I, and so are you, and together we say, and so it is. Thank you. We've got some great music. The Empower music artist, Patricia Bahia, with the song Uncharted. Thank you.
Staring at the cracks in the ceiling, trying to find a way to my dreams, and wondering when I'm ever gonna get there. It seems so close, I could reach out and take it. Then I worry I might not make it, but I can't get caught up. I just gotta feel the fear and do it anyway. No more waiting, no more hesitating. No map to show me the right way to go. No satellite, no well-paved road. My future destination is unknown. I found my way in the dark by the stars in the night, by the song in my heart. I know I'll be alright. happy people. That's my only rule. They say I should be realistic. I think they're just pessimistic. And even if it makes me a misfit, I gotta go my own way. So no more waiting, no more hesitating. No map to show me the right way to go. No satellite, no well-paved road. My future destination is unknown. I'll find my way in the dark by the stars in the night. By the song in my heart, I know I'll be alright. Open-hearted, live a life uncharted. I gotta learn to trust my instincts and not to overthink it. Every flower's born knowing how to bloom. No map to show me the right way to go. No satellite, no well-paved road. My future destination is unknown. I'll find my way in the dark by the stars in the night. By the song in my heart, I know I'll be alright. Open-hearted, living life
A Life Uncharted. That's a great, wonderful song. I've had some of those nights, as I'm sure you have, staring at the ceiling and wondering, okay, how's this going to go? Well, our talk today is entitled When the Road Gets Rocky. I love this title because it reminds me of some real good lessons I've had in the last month and a half on rocky roads. And I'll share some of this with you, not because I'm trying to enlist any kind of sympathy or anything else, but simply to give it as an example of what of how to work with those roads, or how I've worked with them, and what you may discover for yourself in that process that might be useful or work for you. So rocky roads. I spent the first week of August this year in Chapala, Mexico, which is outside of Guadalajara, and is a beautiful, wonderful resort kind of area. I was there for the graduation of our students who just finished and became spiritual directors for Latin America. And, you know, I love that place. It's not the first time I'd been there, but it was the first time I'd been there in a long, long time. And I had some people who helped drive me around and show me things and take me where I needed to go to get supplies and meet dinner appointments and lunch appointments and all of that, which was quite lovely. However, here's the thing. That whole area around the lake, very large lake, beautiful lake, but that area has one paved road, paved with asphalt that we are accustomed to in the U.S. as a pavement, that runs around the lake. And then all of the roads that go off of it, at least everyone I saw, into the town, around the town, up and down, back and forth, all along in the usual kinds of streets and things that go on there, are paved with rocks. They are rocky roads. They are the same for country roads going off of the main road. That's because there's such a plethora and such a plentiful supply of rocks. It's a pretty rocky area. It's in the mountains. And those rocks are plentiful, and they're easy to work with, and they're easy to, it's mostly lime rock, so they can be pounded into a size that works. And after a couple of days there on the rocky roads, after we got off of, when we get off the main road, and every time we turn around and we were off the main road, I was exhausted. I was pounding, bouncing constantly, holding on to the door of the cars and holding on to the seat next to me and trying to brace myself against all of that bouncing. And as I did, my neck got sore, my shoulders got sore, my whole body started to get sore. I would be so tired by the time it was time at night. So after 2 or 3 days of this, I began to think, this is horrible. How do people live this way? And so I asked, and guess what? Most of the people living there that I talked to about it, who are expats who come from other countries or come from the US or Canada, said, oh, we love these roads. What's wrong with it? And I'm like, what? You love these rocky roads? I'm bouncing my brains out and you're loving it? Well, you just have to learn how to deal with it, they said. And I said, okay, tell me. Well, what I learned was the first thing you got to do is really relax, loosen up, and let the road bounce you around. Don't resist it. Don't fight it. Don't hold tight against it like I was doing. I was like, bracing and hanging on because I just felt like it was shaking my brains out. But when I stopped doing that and my body relaxed into it, the vibration and the movement kind of started to feel pretty good and started to be okay. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And then I said, well, what else do you like about these? You say you like these roads. How can you? Well, they said, the nice thing is once you get off the highway where everybody's zooming and you get on these roads, but they're basically cobblestone is the kind of thing I'm thinking of, to associate it with this country. You got to go really slow. You can't speed on those roads. It'll shake you till you can't hold on to the steering wheel. But if you go really slow, they're not too bad. And you kind of let your body go with the bounce. So we don't need stop signs, because when people approach an intersection that's from one cobblestone road to another, you don't really have to worry about who's got the right of way, because there's plenty of room to stop, and because you're not going fast. And so by not going fast, as you're going down these little streets in these really beautiful little towns, you're going slow, you're bouncing, but you're getting to really see the surroundings around you and go deep in that recognition. And people, I discovered, they really honor one another on the roads, because we're all in the same boat. We're all moving through life. We're all moving. I hope you're getting that these are metaphors as well as the reality of the actual functioning of day-to-day life. But we discovered that people just honor and respect each other and their situation, because everyone is bouncing along together. One day when we were coming back from a lunch, we were on one of the city streets, one of the town streets, and got behind a wheelchair. Guy in a wheelchair. He was probably in his 60s. And he couldn't get out of the road because there were big, high curbs on each side. The road was pretty narrow, too narrow to pass him. And we just went really slow behind this guy for about a block. And the cars were kind of piling up behind us. And nobody blew their horn. Nobody got all bent out of shape about this guy blocking the road, because he wasn't. He was progressing, moving down, bumping over the rocks, bumping over the rocks, bumping over the rocks, slowly getting, waving to people up on the sidewalk. Clearly this was his neighborhood and he knew everybody out there, because the folks kind of tend to live outside. They don't live shut away in their little houses. Everybody's out in the street or on the sidewalk in front, or in a patio or whatever, to see and connect with each other. And I just thought it was wonderful that here we are coming back from lunch, got an appointment. Doesn't matter if we get there on time too much, because we got plenty of time. And even if we didn't, honoring and not rushing this guy in the wheelchair was far more important than any appointment I might be going to, or we might be going to. And I thought, wow, what a difference. No one blowing the horn, no one trying to push around him. And he went about a block until he got to a place where he could get off of the road because of the sidewalk curbs being so tall. And he actually just turned into the side street, and we went past him and waved and kept going. He turned around and waved at everybody and kind of saying thank you for letting him get on down the road. And it was just phenomenal. So I highly recommend, try a rocky road sometime if you haven't already, because there's a whole lot we'll learn. And whether you're looking for rocky road or not, we're going to have them in our lives. They show up. I have some internal rocky roads that I've learned to navigate. One of my biggest internal rocky roads is one of the big rocks, and some of the rocks that keep showing up at times is you're not good enough. Nothing you do will be good enough. Keep trying. Keep going for the better, because the best is never good enough. And I can't tell you how many years I spent doing that rocky road the same way I did in the car to begin with, hanging on tight, fighting it, pushing it, trying to get something going more than it was. And only in the last year or two, I've learned to relax, let go, recognize that whatever I am doing and whoever I am being in any given moment is enough and is good enough. Another rock that people often have is that they don't belong. Wherever they are, whatever they're doing, whatever group they're in, they just don't belong. I don't belong here. I don't connect. I'm really different. And we can all go down a list of how we're different from everyone else, probably. We probably have ideas about our uniqueness being terminal because we're so unique. Those ideas add to the bumpy road. One of the real bumpy roads that I've had to work with in the last 2 years, a year and a half, is loneliness, being alone, enjoying my world of my walls in my apartment and you guys on screen and not much else because of the isolation, because of COVID, all those things you know. You may have had a rocky road from the health issues that you faced this last 2 years. And I don't need to name all those for you because you know what the rocky road is that goes on within you. But I think there's some real lessons to be learned here from the physical rocky roads that I traveled so much on for over a week. Down in Mexico. So one of the things that happens with rocky roads is we get really quick, I do, maybe you do, to judge, to make decisions about what's bad about these roads. What's bad about this road is I can't go very fast. I can't get to my next thing I'm trying to get to do in a hurry. What if it damages my vehicle? It's going to make me late. And then they're going to know that I'm not good enough, whoever they are. Sometimes they hurt, especially if you hang on tight and really try to brace against them. And that hurt can remind us sometimes of those things we believe to be lacking in ourselves, or those things we see to be lacking in others, or in our systems in which we live, our governments, our collective ideas of and ways of working together, our schools, on it goes. But I'd like to suggest to you another perspective, that maybe the rocky roads are not done to us, but for us, as we say in this teaching all the time. And maybe there's something good to be recognized on the roughest and longest of rocky roads. See, a rocky road allows you still to continue. I grew up in Florida, and we had lots of lime rock roads covering the sandy world of North Florida and the swampy, muddy parts as well. And lime rock gets crushed, and you put it out on, on the road, and it makes a kind of pavement, not one you can go very fast on. But without it, vehicles couldn't go anywhere in that part of Florida, because you would simply bog down in the sand or the swamp. But the rocky road connects you and allows you the continuity to keep moving. Now, it may seem like it brings you to a complete stop sometimes, and those things inside of you may feel like they're going to, but if you keep bumping along with them, you're still moving through life. You're still getting to where you're going. Rocky roads show us our rough edges. They show us where we're hanging on to things that don't serve us anymore, where our tension is, where our fears are. And that's a gift, because if you know where that stuff is and what that stuff is, then you can apply the things we know in this teaching so well, these things of healing, these things that help us shift out of fear into possibility thinking. Rocky roads provide a means for connection. Have you ever sat in the waiting room of a surgical unit at a hospital? The people in there all dealing with family members who are going through some kind of surgery or some kind of major trauma. That's a rocky road to be on, whether you're the one in the surgery or the one sitting out in the waiting room. And people in those rooms connect, especially if they're there more than one day, in a really deep and powerful way. They get to know one another. They find out each other's stories. They find out what's motivating, what kind of, sometimes whether they want to be prayed for or not, what kind of support people need. You see people getting each other coffee, doing all kinds of things to connect that they would never have a reason to do anywhere else in that world or in our world. So our rocky roads and the rocks in the road often give us that pause to connect. And as I said with the physical rocky road, it slows us down. It gives us the opportunity to slow down and look deeply into those rocks, look deeply into what's going on in our lives at any given moment. And that's a huge goodness, a huge gift, and a great way to live. Imagine having that kind of sense of connection with people everywhere. So when you're on that rocky road, how do you handle that? What do you do when it pops up, when the road you were on? There were a couple of times when we were traveling, we went to a special sacred site while I was there. They took me in, and it was two carloads of us actually went up to this place, and it was wonderful. But it was about a 2.5 hour, seemed longer, drive on rocky road all the way there, bouncing. So what do? You slow down. I mean, to begin with, we were on an asphalt road. We were zooming along. It was great. Now, we couldn't zoom too much because people live all over that part of Mexico as if All the roads are rocky roads. So they take their time. They talk to one another. It's smoother. It's easier. It's quieter. It's less rushed. So on a rocky road, we'd be zooming along on asphalt, and all of a sudden, bouncy, 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 we hit the rocky parts. And for miles and miles and miles, that's what we drove on. So rocky roads, when you get on a rocky road, slow down. Whether it's one of your inner worlds of rocky roads or external experience. Slow down. See, the point of life is not the destination, because you don't ever finish, you don't ever get there, wherever there is. The point is the joy of the journey. So when the road gets rocky, you slow down. Now, when I was a kid, I told you I lived in Florida, and we had these gravel lime rock roads, and they were pretty bumpy. You had to take your time, except that you could speed up and get going really fast on them, and then the shocks in the car would take care of all the bumps, and you had a pretty smooth ride. And that was just fine, except with that much bump in the road, you had a real challenge about losing traction and hydroplaning. No water involved, just a rough road. So you might be zooming along and having a smooth ride, but in doing that, you had to watch the road really carefully. You had to handle your car with complete 100% attention. No radio. Keep it quiet, because you got to focus in order to keep the car from sliding off into the swamp somewhere. That wasn't much fun. Not much of a way to live. So you might be able to force yourself on a rocky road to go really fast and get past it. But you're going to miss out on the opportunity to connect with what's really in your environment, what's in your internal environment, what's in the truth of you as you go on the road. So relax, slow down, pay attention. Let the flow, let the road itself determine the flow, and don't resist it. It's kind of like we talk about surrendering to the process. You know, my personal rocky road of the last part of August was COVID-19. I've talked about that before. And, you know, not only did it slow me down, it brought me to a stop in all of the areas of my life except self-care. And I went into a deep awareness of everything happening in my physicality and in how to support that and what was going on inside. I paid such close attention. I spent a lot of days in bed, and when I had the energy not to be, I wasn't. When I didn't have it, I went back. I listened to what I could do about food, what would stick and what wouldn't, what tasted good and what tasted like strange things I never imagined food tasting like. All of those things they talk about with COVID. But the beauty, the value, the power that came through me for that event was stopping, listening, really getting in touch with the depth of my own physical experience and my own physicality for healing and health. I surrendered to the process completely. You had other speakers, everything was taken care of. And in doing that, I allowed what is natural for me and natural for every human being to happen. And that is healing. Allowing that within me to come forward. You know, healing is not a mystical, strange thing. Healing is simply the return to the experience of oneness. And our bodies naturally do that. Think about it. You get a cut. It parts. You got a two-ness going on. It heals back into a oneness, back into a singularity. And that's natural. You don't have to do anything to make that happen. So allowing yourself to enjoy that smoothness, to move into that. And you know, as you go deeper into anything in consciousness, as well as in our physical bodies live within our consciousness, so you can't go deeper into your physical self without going deeper into your consciousness. When you do that, you move into the awareness of oneness. Or some would say you rise above it. Either way, it's the same thing, going deeper or rising above. And I learned something really important. I learned that pain and difficulty and struggle was not an option. That bumpy roads and that particular one, I needed to walk through it. But I also learned that suffering is optional. When I stopped fighting it, I stopped pretending something different. When I stopped saying it has to be this or that, when I stopped putting labels on what was right and what was wrong and what was good and what was bad, and simply said, this is what is. It was fascinating. As that happened, the suffering stopped. Yeah, there was still pain. Yeah, there was still discomfort. Yeah, I was still coughing my head off. But it was just like being on the rocky road in Mexico. When I stopped fighting it, when I stopped naming it as bad or good, it became a pleasant, joyful experience. I wouldn't call this one joyful. It took a while to get to joyful, but it wasn't suffering. I didn't feel that way. So a way through and around, and as you're walking through these rough road times, rocky road times, what I'm really kind of pointing to and guiding you toward, or trying to activate in your own thinking, is the idea that the way through any tough time is to practice the presence of the oneness, practice the presence of God in your life in some way all of the time. And if you're in the habit of doing that anyway, when you hit that rough road, it'll be easier, but you're still going to have to slow down and pay attention. So in it, you look for the opportunity to practice the presence and look for that something more or deeper that's drawing you or pulling you. Perhaps something to be healed, something to be known. One of my favorite teachers used to stomp her foot and say, I demand to know what there is to be known here. I demand to see the love in this right now. I demand to know what I need to know. Before you ask what I need to fix, what I need to take care of, what do I need to know? And then listen. Because see, something inside of you always knows the way through. Something inside of you and me and all of us knows what needs to happen, knows what we need to know in order to find the smooth road again, or what we need to know in order to make or allow, perhaps, the rocky road to still be a pleasant experience moving through life. It's taking life on life's terms. And that's a sweet thing. That's the thing that absolutely serves us beautifully. So what happens here is that we sink more deeply into the oneness. There is one infinite reality. We call it many names, including but not limited to God, life, universal spirit, infinite intelligence, first cause, or the thing itself. Many things. That one infinite power in which we move and live and breathe and have our being. This one infinite reality is undivided and complete and whole within itself. So none of these rocky roads are disconnected from the system. They're still part of the whole. This oneness creates everything out of itself, rocks and all. And therefore includes both the absolute and the relative, the universal and the individual. Both the tangible, the things we can touch, taste, see, and feel, and the intangible in our thoughts and our minds. It is both physical and metaphysical aspects of reality. So we are called from the rocky road to acknowledge divine order in everything, regardless of the conditions, rocky or smooth. And when I judge my road as rocky, when I call it that, when I see it as that, then I look for the lesson. I look for, what am I to learn from this? Well, how can I grow from this? How can I become a greater expression of the infinite that I am? And I affirm, and I allow, and I accept, and I receive soothing, healing love. Because ultimately, that's all there is. So as a very last resort in dealing with this rocky road stuff, another option is to pull off the side of the road and get yourself some rocky road ice cream. And while you're enjoying the sweetness, and if you like chocolate, the chocolateness, and the lumpiness, and the marshmallows, and all of that stuff in rocky road ice cream, while you're sitting there soaking it up, let that energy and power and life within you begin to show you where to go back on the road, when to go, how fast to go, how to handle whatever is coming up for you. Because that truth and that power is available within you every moment of every day. We just need to stop, draw aside, and listen. And that is good, and that is very good. Because you are wonderful. So am I, and so it is. Thank you. And now we're going to hear from Vance as to how we can together support this wonderful center. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. That was awesome talk on the metaphor between life and roads. And so as we come together every Sunday and support the center by our presence, whether you're here or listening later on, it's a great opportunity to give and share and expand this service that we provide. And in doing that, it's awesome. Yeah, the link there, cslmidtown.org/donate. And you can set it up on a recurring basis if you're so inclined to do that, or just on a one-time giving basis. That's all possible. So if you would now with me say our affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. And on to announcements.
And it's time for everybody's favorite fun game, announcements. Hey, stay in touch with the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown through our newsletter. Get one email a week, letting you stay informed. And please subscribe when visiting YouTube to our YouTube channel. Those subscriptions go a long, long way. And while you're on your social media, why not give us a like and a share on Facebook? Let your friends know what we're doing. Invite them to come watch our services with you. And join us on our Zoom room throughout the week. We offer a variety of Zoom interaction opportunities each and every week here as part of the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. 10 a.m. Sundays, our discussion group around the 365 Science of Mind book. Every Sunday, 12 noon Sundays, our community fellowship immediately following our Sunday services. And 12 noon on Tuesday, our online empowerment opportunity. The access information remains the same for all of our Zoom experiences. If you need access, please visit cslmidtown.org and you'll find access information on our website. Join us on any of our Zoom opportunities throughout the week. And while you're with us, be sure to connect with one of our professional practitioners. These are folks that are highly trained to support you along your spiritual journey. You can learn more on our website about our professional practitioners. Just head over to cslmidtown.org, click on About and Practitioners. Then you'll see their bios and a way to reach them and learn a little bit more about each of them. And please send us your prayer requests. Click on the Home tab and look for Affirmative Treatment Prayer Requests. Fill out the form, send it off, and get our professional practitioners praying for you each and every day. All right.
Thank you. And thank you for your contributions. I just have one quick announcement to add to what we already have here. And that is that our Wisdom Wednesdays, which is from 7 to 8 o'clock on Wednesday nights, will resume the first Wednesday in October. That's October 6th. We're going to begin by reviewing some of the very basic ideas of science of mind, of what we're talking about. Because I realize I speak every week with the assumption that you all know what I'm talking about. And hopefully you do understand enough of it. I know that when you repeat things often enough, most adults learn. However, if you have a lot of questions, if you have clarifications you want to look for, Wednesdays at 7 to 8 would be the time to do it. We're going to do some talking. I'll do some teaching. We'll also do some experiential work with meditation and listening. And we'll spend a couple of weeks on those basic ideas: oneness, law of attraction, which is another way of talking about the law of cause and effect, looking at how heart and head work together in this teaching. We're also going to then begin to branch into some weeks where we look at the 4 areas of life and how to bring these ideas to those areas: health, wealth, love, and creative expression or work. And that will take us on in towards the holidays, and we will work with these ideas each week. I'll have some announcements coming out on Facebook and hopefully YouTube as well on what to expect each week. There's no charge, although we ask for a love offering. And if you are so inclined, we'd love for you to join us any Wednesday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, on this same Zoom channel. For those who are on Zoom, that's the only place it will be. We will not be broadcasting it on Facebook, but because of the interactive opportunity for you to talk back to me and for us to do some learning together. So with that and with all of the wonderful things that have happened today, I'm grateful you were with us. I'm grateful that we have this opportunity. What an amazing world we live in, that we can talk and be with each other. I just saw a pop-up message from someone in Hawaii, and I went, wow, how wonderful that we can talk across time and space. So join me, if you will, then in our closing affirmation of life. This is where we go from today. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. Yeah. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. And so it is.